Ladies and gentlemen, it's a late night with spooky moons on the rise. But my name is Hickory, and with me is Quasars, and tonight is GXPC Season 4, Week 5 between NFG and White Lotus. White Lotus is currently sitting pretty at 8-0, while NFG is right behind them at 5-3. We are halfway through the season. Almost every team is at least 1 or 2 games away from being halfway. Every team is still technically in the running for playoffs. Just because of White Lotus's current strong standing does not mean that NFG, Red Dusk, even Furious Gents cannot overtake them. How you doing tonight, Quasars?
I'm pretty good. Not much is going on.
Thanks.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm getting a little old for these late nights, but otherwise it's good. It's been a productive week for me. But we're jumping right actually into the draft. NFG has first pick, and they're going to ban out of Katarina. Is there any bans or any few bans that you want to see in the first round from either team in particular?
From NFG, I do expect them to ban out maybe Jen, just because we know from previous games that A3 is very proficient on him, and late game, he does have a lot of crit, and it's really, really scary. So,
is that a respect Malphite ban?
I mean, I do know that a couple teams have been going AP Malphite just in spite of A3, so I just think they want to avoid that for the side of White Lotus there.
So what you're saying is that they're not man enough to deal with the AP Malphite, as Miss Zaya is also on the ban list. And I believe you're mentioning Jin on this for NFG, correct?
Yeah, I'm saying that just because like A3 never gets the Zaya, so if they're gonna prioritize banning him out, like I feel like those are his two strongest, just the Zaya and the Jin.
So here's the question. If you never get Zaya, do you stop practicing Zaya and therefore someone can mind game you by leaving the Zaya up? As Akali is banned at no Jin.
I mean, Frisian in particular, I know he's stopped playing Ahri in solo queue and has been learning new champions. Just because in this league he never gets Ahri. So I mean, after a while of getting banned, you start to pick up another champion to take its place.
Yeah, but what if someone leaves Ahri up for you and you're like, oh, should I pick it? And then you pick it, but then you haven't practiced it all for like weeks because it's been banned out, and then you just hardened. Mind games, next level. I'm giving strats to these coaches, and they're just not listening.
Yeah, no, but I know that Frisian entered with Ahri in a game versus White Lotus, so he was counterpicked with the Katarina, yeah.
As the Braum Sejuani, that's an old combo coming in for the side of White Lotus. I like that combo a lot. Darius was the first pick on the side of NFG, going up against Mr. Freshburger. And do you like the Zac from Zayfrey?
Yeah, Zayfrey is really good on Zac, so I can see him picking that up, that or a Camille. It just depends on Zac.
Looks like they're going a little tankier this with the Zac, a town matchup with a pretty beefy lineup so far from Braum and Sejuani. What are the last few picks you want from either team here, seeing these kind of first few?
My guess is that Slivering Dingus is going to go with Ahri, or not Ahri, sorry. Orianna.
Orianna, sure. Yep. Ori. Can you pick that now, or do you want to wait a little?
Yasuo.
Ooh, that is not an Orianna.
No.
At all. That's a Yasuo. Almost definitely going for Slithering Dinkus with the Darius. That means the bot lane is completely left up for a counter pick with a potential third tank for the side of White Lotus. Would it have been better to wait on that Yasuo or the Darius a little bit longer?
I mean, maybe they feel like they have a good team comp going for them before they got into this picks and bans, so maybe they already had that in mind before going up and seeing like the bans and what the other team was playing, so it might work out for them.
That's interesting because that's definitely going to leave up a counter pick for either your ADC or your mid lane, which seems like an interesting thing to give up as NFG. knowing that they're almost definitely going to play a carry. You know, if you leave up a counter pick for a top laner, there's the chance that they're still, you know, a tanks in with like a jungler or a support. But outside of a few months ago, when it's an ADC, not going to be trying to hard carry the game. But we'll see if the Jhin still does make it through. No ADCs on either team has actually been picked up just yet. I might need a confirmation from my stats team whether NFG used an E-sub, because they did give up one of their bans.
Now I'm angry.
As one ADC and support is dropped for White Lotus. I mean, both ADC and support are up on the side of NFG. Kind of pointless to ban anything else. Although, would you rather focused on either support or ADC, or is it fine one for 1-1?
I feel like A3L and Daydreams are comfortable enough together to kind of, you know, not have to worry about any particular AD carries or any particular support. So I feel like, you know, it's just common sense to ban both rather than two of each.
Yeah, as opposed to hawking on one person, you just kind of make it easier a little bit, kind of spread the love. I guess hate actually probably in this situation. Probably gonna be an ADC here, don't you think, from White Lotus?
I mean, they might try to pick that
They do
last.
the counter pick either way, I guess. So yeah, and not bad a choice on the Lucian. You are right, ma'am. Why do I ever question you? Makes me look bad. There is an E-sub on the side of NFG, by the way. It is Destiny Vindictus, the ADC player for NFG. That is the reasoning for the drop of both of the second round bans. He will be their carry player, potentially picking his carry right now. He's actually going to pick his support, and then the carry will be picked after. Probably could have just picked it for themselves, seeing as it's not really going to be very hidden at this point. But Nami picked up. How do you feel about the Nami into Lucian Braum?
I feel like it's pretty okay. Like, it's definitely there for the lane sustain, and when Braum goes in to beat the crap out of your AD carry, you can always bubble him, get away.
It's a Yasuo ADC. So that changes our game plan a little bit, doesn't it? Good idea. Miss Quasars are waiting to pick the mid laner last because clearly that was not the mid laner. How do you feel about LeBlanc into the Orianna then?
I mean, I feel like Orianna would have a little bit of difficulty with LeBlanc's burst damage, but she does have her shield, so I feel like if she's able to time that correctly, then she should be all right.
That is assuming, however, that Orianna is going mid. 20 seconds, I believe, is the lock-in timer. And so far, they're actually keeping it in the mid lane. And
they might lane swap once they get into game as well. So
interesting. Orianna did pick the teleport. But yeah, that's the timer for them. So it's definitely Destiny Vindictus playing the Orianna. But you're right. They could be lane swapping to the bot lane. I would probably rather the Orianna be in the mid lane, but that's just me. So I feel like there's a really, really, really strong draft on the side of White Lotus, with a lot of strong picks that are not only individually strong, but work together very well. I mentioned Sejuani Braum earlier. Lucian Braum is insane. Orin really with anyone is kind of disgusting in this composition. But tell me right now about NFG. It's a little bit of a wonkier draft. We don't even necessarily know who's going where. What do you like about it? What do you dislike? What are some win conditions?
Well, they do have the Nami ult and the Orianna ult for a knockup for the Yasuo. I'm pretty sure one of Zach's abilities count as a knockup as well. And then you have the Darius, who can either go tank or AD. So overall, I feel like they really have to work together to try to, you know, make things happen. And if they can synergize well as a team, I feel like the Yasuo and the Orianna should get fed enough to carry while the Zac and the Darius do a good job at peeling and doing damage where they can. And Nami is really good for sustain in the bot lane. So especially against the Braum Lucian, that's going to help them out pretty early. And as long as Orianna can pick up kills, or the Yasuo, whoever decides to go bot lane, then I feel like they should be all right going into mid game. And then after that, it just depends on like what team fights they decide to fight in, and if they're able to get picks off, and go for that late game that they need.
Well, assuming that everything goes to plan, where do you think Zayfrey is going to be focusing his first few minutes of the game?
Um, I feel like that depends on how White Lotus is playing. We do know that Freshburger does a pretty good job top lane, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Zach roam up there a couple times, but we don't know really how the matchup's going to go bot lane quite yet. So depending on if they're actually winning lane or losing lane, then I wouldn't be surprised to see Zayfrey rotate down and help them out a little bit more than top lane.
Okay. Well, I mean, we're talking a lot about NFG in only a few seconds, but like, what do you think is the weakest part of this White Lotus draft?
That's tough actually. I guess that they have a little bit more, health than damage. So they do have the burst damage from the LeBlanc and the Lucian, but they don't really have like too much consistent damage. So they're going to be relying on the CC from the Orin, Sejuani, and Braum to kind of help them get through team fights.
So they might not be fighting front to back as well as we'd like to see, but we're going to have to find out in a few minutes as we kick it to a break. Stay tuned. See you guys in just a bit.
My name is Tim Borseth, and I own and operate Games XP in Decorah, Iowa. Games XP is a geek paradise. We carry everything from Pong and Atari all the way to Xbox One and PS4, and all the games that would go with those consoles as well. We also carry a ton of movies. We have handheld games. We have Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon. We have D&D and Pathfinder. We carry Warhammer 40K. We have a vintage Star Wars selection. This place is great. My wife and I have had 6 kids, and they are so much fun to work with here at the store. They run the store as much as I do.
And we now repair cell phones, game consoles, computers, and small electronics.
Our store is instant fun. Not only is there cool music and cool stuff to look at, but we have a game room that is so much fun. It's free to play, and you just plug in your game system and enjoy life. The Game XP motto is bringing joy to people's lives through our products, people, and a place to play. So you have got to come to Decorah, Iowa, and check out Games XP and experience this geek gaming paradise.
Summoners, welcome to Summoner's Rift. I didn't think that one through very well when I started that sentence. We are here, game 1, NFG versus White Lotus. NFG has loaded onto the blue side of the Rift with Sprinkle Mycelium in the top lane, Zayfrey, jungle, Slippering Dingus, mid lane, Destiny, Vindictus taking up the bot lane role basically, and Jay is for Penguin in support. On the other side, we have White Lotus in a 3-man squad, 4-man squad, 5-man squad on the bottom side of the map with Fresh Burger top lane, Heroes, Jungler, Fuji, mid, Ethereal in the ADC without the White Lotus tag, and Daydreams. And could Brahms legendary level 1 be the first? Wow, very quick flash wave from Slippering Dingus. He is respecting it. How you feel,
Yeah,
Quasars?
you don't want to mess with a Braum when they try to invade. That's you'll normally lose a player. So good flash on or from Slippering Dingus there. It does look like there might be a lane swap though, as we do see Yasuo hovering around the bot lane.
Yeah, and would like to switch those, by the way, on the broadcast itself. Would like to probably see Destiny Vindictus put into the mid lane for now. Because you are right, Slippering Dingus is taking up the bot lane. How do you? I'm not too worried about the Yasuo in the bot lane, but how do you feel about Slippering Dingus being the bot lane? I mean, he's been the mid laner for this entire season, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, I feel like
oh wow, that's a lot of damage to flash away instantly to ignite, and the first blood immediately for Daydreams. They probably won't get able to follow too much, but they might get a stun off and a little bit more damage onto Slippering Dingus, who had to blow his flash as well. Flash heal down for Jays for Penguin. Flash ignite traded for Daydreams, who did pick up the first blood. Not perfect for Ethereal, but that's a win in my book. And they might actually go again to see if they want to push it forward. It's still level 1. So okay, we're fine. Let's relax, Quasars.
Yeah, it feels bad.
What does that mean for NFG going into the next few levels? As a dash forward from Ethereal, geez, he's putting on a show right now. As Zayfrey luckily does pick up his blue buff. Ethereal does not want this to be a very long match, does he?
No, I feel like picking not a ranged AD carry into Ethereal and Daydreams was maybe not such a great idea. But like even with the Nami sustain, it's going to be really difficult to trade.
Hopefully the heal and the poke from Jays for Penguin will kind of stabilize this a little bit, because White Lotus is a double melee. As an apprehend in the top lane for Sprinkle Mycelium, he does a nice little trade on Fresh Burger. We've seen Fresh Burger pretty able to just take over his lane. So hopefully someone like Sprinkle Mycelium can kind of give him a little bit of run for his money. But what I was saying is that the melee support on the side of White Lotus might allow for Jace Penguin to get a little bit more pressure back in. A dash away from Fresh Burger, he actually had a lot of damage there though. And the apprehend once again, actually, these two are really duking it out. I don't think Sprinkle Mycelium wants his bot lane to be the end-all be-all of this game. How do you feel about the Darius into the Ornn first few levels?
First few levels, I do feel like it's a little bit tough to trade with Ornn, but you know, once Darius has a couple items, then it gets a lot easier for him.
They both did go Corrupting Potion to try and sustain a little bit longer, but can you tell me a little bit more about these Darius runes and summoner spell choices?
Honestly, I don't go near top lane, so I can't tell you.
Okay. The only reason that I'm curious is that I'm pretty used to Conqueror. I don't know anything about Darius. I don't think I've ever played him. I'm just used to seeing Conqueror and seeing a lot of ridiculous auto attacks do about a quarter of a tank's health. But he has gone for the excuse me, what's it called? I don't remember what it's called.
I don't remember either.
Phase Rush, excuse me. Sorry. He has gone for the Phase Rush, trying to go speedy with the Ghost as he apprehends in. He's really trying to move very, very fast, but he's actually a level down as Fresh Burger does flash away. Flash forward from Sprinkle Mycelium, still trying to go fast, but he's under the tower, gets the kill, and he doesn't get out. A trade 1-for-1 in the top lane. Fresh Burger did not use his teleport just yet, and does have a nice CS lead. I guess we're gonna have to see how the rest of the matchup goes, because I would wonder how it would be without with Conqueror is basically my question. But things stabilized a little bit in the bot lane. Cole picked up for Slivering Dingus to try and get back some of the gold. Not very massive CS lead for Ethereal, actually. Not really a massive CS lead for most of the map outside of the top lane.
Yeah, and with Phase Rush, when you hit an enemy with, like, I think it's 3 auto attacks or abilities, you actually do a burst of magic damage.
Oh, really?
So, like,
I actually only knew about the speed.
Yeah. So, I think he was going for, like, a little bit of extra damage from those autos early in against the Orin. But I don't see how
there actually is the Orin Horn. This can go on to Sprinkle Me Silly, who does not have the Fade Rush going. He's not actually dead just yet. As a charge forward from Sprinkle Me Silly does take him out. And there was actually a trade for Destiny Vindictus onto Fuji. We flashed really quickly to the mid lane, saw Destiny Vindictus at about 1 health, and Fuji just kind of poking him out. Somewhere in there, however, when we were looking at the top lane, Fuji was solo killed by Zayfrey might have been able to get the counter gank in there. Unfortunately, we weren't able to see it. Hopefully, my production can pull up a replay in the near future. But so far, it's a win for Destiny Vindictus, as Freshburger did get the solo kill top lane. And it's going to actually force Ethereal and company to back off, as a lot of pressure is coming their way with the mid lane going down. How did that happen mid lane? How do you think it happened, rather?
Ooh, I think it was just like good pressure from the Sejuani, maybe.
Interesting. It's unfortunate we didn't get to see it. I was focused on Sprinkle Me Silly and Fresh Burger. We're gonna have to kind of check in with mid lane a little bit more. It's a pretty explosive lane with the LeBlanc. I also like. I know people have been complaining about what's it called, Electrocute, a lot recently, but I actually like new Electrocute because it procs more, which kind of feels a little bit better in my opinion, especially on someone like LeBlanc, where you're just gonna be trading constantly. You get more procs off as opposed to one like really big proc. But another trade in the top lane, Apprehend going off. Apprehend does actually knock you airborne, by the way, for the Yasuo. So that means that literally everyone on this team comp can set up for the Yasuo ult, as Zayfrey goes for a nice stretching strike, but elastic sling strike, excuse me, but does not get in range for the stretching strike. So, albeit the interesting level 1, 2, and 3, this is surprisingly equal games so far, despite the level 1 rather. Who has more of an advantage in the kind of like as we start working our way towards the mid lane? As Kairos actually is invading on Zayfrey with the help of Freshburger. Sprinkle Me Silly was pushed back. A nice pickup. Actually, Ornhorn goes out. Passive for Zach is up. We're going to see if they're going to want to pull it out, as Bounce does not want to go. And a lot of fighting actually as a knock-up in the bot lane. However, it looks like Destiny Vindictus has come into the fray in the top lane. Sprinkle Me Silly kind of wants to fight this, but not really so much, as Ethereal and Daydreams has completely zoned Jace for Penguin away from the experience, which is kind of scary as a squishy support. What I was trying to ask you, though, ma'am, is who can start initiating fights in the next few minutes outside of these lane trades that we're seeing in the bot lane? Like, I mean, I'm talking about a team fight. I'm talking about let's get some objectives. Rift Herald, towers, the kind of line.
I do feel like...
As a massive ultimate drops on to Fuji. The shockwave delivery from Zayfrey was perfect. That's 2 kills onto Fuji right now. I don't mean to interrupt you. It's just keeps happening.
No, you're all right. I do think that NFG does have a slightly better team fight. Like going into mid game at least. Like they're not behind on kills; they're actually even. So I feel like just because their team comp's a little bit better, in my personal opinion, that they might be able to make more happen in mid game. I
was a little bit interested in watching what was going on top lane. I would like to see a little bit more map awareness at this point, especially with like Zayfray. Zayfray's really been focusing in mid lane. I like it, but we're starting to look at the Rift Tower. We're starting to look at the Dragon. I'm starting to get a little bit confused about this top lane. It is a Darius. It's not a tank v tank fight. You know, that is a carry up there, but he's starting to fall behind a little bit. Where should the focus of NFG be starting to push? Potentially Destiny?
Yeah, I would like to see Zayfray work a little bit more with his bot lane. Aetherial is really hard to you know, kill just because he has the Braum and then also he's a slippery snake like Slibbering Dingus is.
Yeah, both summoners as well.
So I feel like it's gonna be hard for Zayfray to gank bot lane unless they're like really pushed up and they have no vision. But I do feel like a gank needs to happen there.
He is in the bot lane. He's shown on a ward. I think he's just probably poking things out. So maybe we are just looking mid lane, or is it potential? Is there potential to bail out Sprinkle Me Silly? Yes, no, maybe so.
I think that they just need to leave top lane at this point. Like, we have seen Zayfray go up there and try to help a few times, but it's really difficult for them to kill Orin.
Just a nice route for Fuji. Probably going to be maybe the end of it as a... maybe it's gonna... Actually, Fuji did distortion forward, but bot lane there is an ultimate from Daydreams onto 2. Penguin has already died. And it's nice Yasuo ult, last breath on to 2 members, but I think... Oh, Ethereal is just so strong right now. Even with just the call, he does an incredible amount of damage, waits for his heal and flash at the last second, but he's under tower. I think he's going to trade for the Zac passive.
Not quite.
A really nice timed counter gank by Kairos does kind of get the rest of that fight won. I'm sorry, that was actually a 2v3 by Ethereal and Daydreams. Not sure about the last few seconds there. That was Zayfray's gank on the bot lane that we were looking for just a few seconds ago, and it went horribly wrong.
Right.
Run it back, or do we need to change up our thought process more?
I think at this point, it's not really a good idea for them to fight the Aetherial if you know, they hit Braum by accident, because Braum is getting to the point where he's getting harder and harder to kill.
Speaking of hard to kill, Freshburger is getting his 4th kill of the game, as well as the Zac passive being popped. We'll see if they're going to gift it over to anyone, potentially Fuji, who has been down. He does get the shutdown. He's 2-2 all of a sudden, completely back in this game after a 0-2 start. He even has a nice CS lead. That's 2 kills in the top lane, fighting over a Grump, I believe, unfortunately. It's going to force Destiny Vindictus to pick up his blue buff by himself, which really isn't really that comfortable 13 minutes into the game. He has quite a lot of health. Things are starting to not look too good for the side of NFG, as White Lotus is really starting to ramp things up, and they might start looking for a few objectives. What is the kind of first pressure point that White Lotus is looking for?
I feel like White Lotus would more than likely go for the Dragon first, just because like they've already been punishing the bot lane of NFG. So if they were to, you know, kill both of them in the bot lane and then rotate up to Dragon with their jungler there, it would be an easy Dragon for them.
Zayfray does bounce with Fuji to get him under the tower, but not a lot of damage by himself, as a distortion in and out for Fuji gets him away. I like the thought process of Dragon, excuse me, as an ult from Daydreams does hit onto Jace for Penguin, not really much for it, but I like the Dragon, except for it being Cloud and not the massive amount of pressure from Fuji. There is a huge amount of pressure from the bot lane. You are correct. They've been bullying this lane quite a lot, as Ethereal almost does 50% of Jace for Penguin's health in just a few seconds. He is forced to use the Tidal Wave just to not die, basically. As Freshburger is actually 2 levels up in the top lane. Trading, he gets the Call of the Forge God. Max right on Sprinkle Me Silly after he flashes. Ethereal was able to pick up a kill bot lane as we were watching Freshburger get another solo kill Is this tower for top lane, or is it still a little too strong at the moment?
I think he might be able to get it. Like, he has about half a wave there and another wave's pushing in, so, unless, well, actually, yeah, no, there's no teleport for, NFG, so I think he should either get the tower or get really, really close.
Well, there's no teleport, and it looks like Zayfray is giving it up as Kairos and crew start going for that Cloud Drake. First brick is taken by Freshburger Solo Guild. Cloud Drake taking it at the same time. A 6k gold is all of a sudden ballooned as Slivering Dingus. What are you doing, my friend? He does not have his passive up. There's the stun and a kill gifted over to Ethereal. Daydreams did not want to pick that one up after the first blood mishap, perhaps. The gold lead at 6k is really starting to balloon here. Only 16 minutes into the game. 8 kills ahead is White Lotus. They are absolutely showing their dominance, starting to really make it into mid-season form. What does NFG need to do to start pulling it back? Nice dodge on the shockwave.
I think that NFG just needs to, you know, at this point, stay away from Ethereal and the Braum, and try to focus a little bit more on like shutting
Call
down
the Forge God on a Destiny Vindictus. Not what we're looking for inside of NFG. Destiny does get out by Zayfray dodging in. Let's bounce pulls 2 into the tower. Freshburger got a little bit too far as he gets dunked on. Sprinkle Silly has been tired of getting bullied. Gets another dunk on a Daydreams. Not just enough. The Stretcher Strike does pull Daydreams back for the double kill on a Sprinkle Silly. That might be a little bit of what we're looking for to get a little bit gold back. Gold into the pocket of Sprinkle Silly in particular, their top lane carry who has been decently bullied so far. That might be a little bit more of what we need to see.
Yeah,
however,
and like I said, as long as NFG doesn't get too far behind in early game and mid game, their team fight should start coming together a little bit better.
I'm sorry,
just
NFG's
as long as
team
they
fight
don't
should be?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just as long as they don't get chained by that CC.
That team fight one mid might give them the Rift Herald. It looks like Kairos is kind of hanging around here. He doesn't have any vision, but he kind of is sniffing the play out. Both the top and jungle are a little bit low on the side of NFG. Here comes Kairos. Might be a smite fight. A 50-50 flash forward and distortion from Fuji blows Sprinkle Silly up. I do not know which way the Rift Herald went. It was picked up by Zayfray, who did trade his life for it. 2 kill for 0 trade, as potentially Ethereal is going to pick up a solo in the bot lane. He does not get it yet, and as he flashes away, very nice. The Conqueror proc kind of scared me a little bit for the squishy ACDC's life. But speaking of top lane, top side of the map, was the 2 kill for Rift Herald trade valuable, or did they give up too much pressure as bot lane and now top lane is falling?
I feel like in all, NFG has a tough time keeping their lane pressure, and I feel like going for that Rift Herald is going to help them kind of maintain that a little bit more going into mid game. I don't particularly think that it was worth handing 2 kills over for, though.
Fuji is going to be able to get out of here. Unfortunately, the Terry Assault goes on Mimic as the Fissure is going to knock up Sprinkle Silly, taking him out. That's another kill traded back. Unfortunately, he is just having an awful time of it right now. Totally bullied by Freshburger, who is 8-2 on this Ornn. That is a very big Ornn right now, as the mid tier 2 is going to be sieged on. Looks like Ethereal was able to pick up the bot lane at tier 2 as well. This all tier 2's gone 20 minutes into the game, not even 19 minutes into the game. They don't even have a Baron to back into to pull up now. What do you do as White Lotus? You're winning so hard. How do you not throw?
I think as long as, you know, they mind their positioning and keep getting objectives, that they should be fine. Because, you know, poor positioning means getting caught out and dying and giving free gold to the other team. So I feel like they should just keep Baron warded and keep Dragon warded and try to get some deep vision in the enemy jungle just to avoid getting picked off.
But speaking of vision, there's not a lot of vision over the Baron Pit, which only did just come up right now. But assuming they are to take over vision control with their kill lead right now, their gold lead, do they have a composition that can 20-minute Baron, or do they need to kind of slow the pace of things down, as Shelly is not going to get a charge off in the mid lane? Unfortunately, that trade for the Rift Herald, the 2-kill trade, turns out to be completely unworth it, very sadly, as Zayfrey Wells wants to go in. He gets the stretching strike, but does not get the call back. Tidal Wave hits onto arrows almost exclusively. Let's bounce right in the middle of nothing. Zayfrey goes down pretty easily. Same with Sprinkle Me Zero. Ethereal with the double kill on a rampage right now. Flash forward onto Destiny, and things are just falling apart. I was wondering if things needed to be slowed down, but apparently the pressure from White Lotus will not end. The mid lane turret is going to go down. Mid lane inhibitor easily to follow. Can they end?
I feel like they're just gonna back off and go for that Baron or the Dragon.
Oh, distortion forward from Fuji. It blows Jays for Penguin up. That does not feel good. That's a 4-level down Nami squishy support, as we're going to be rotating to the Dragon in about 15 seconds. They have only picked up 1 Dragon so far this game, oddly enough, because it is only 21 minutes into the game. With mid lane inhibitor down, they're feeling very comfortable. Might be going to the Baron Pit here pretty soon. Kairos is back, and he doesn't even smite it, as the Infernal does get picked up. Zayfrey is looking for the steal. He does have Flash. He does have Elastic Slingshot. Doesn't have his passive. Elastic away, not into the Dragon Pit, unfortunately, as the Infernal Dragon is picked up by the side of White Lotus. That is a math is hard 14k gold lead. At only 22 minutes of the game, TP blown to keep the top lane tower. Is that really useful for the teleport at this point? Or could you have given up that tower?
I mean, I don't really think it's useful for him to use teleport to save a tower when they've established that they have a lot more pressure on the map. But if he wants to save his tower, then I don't see why not. Like, there's no disadvantage to using it.
Another distortion forward. Fuji easily just deletes Jace for Penguin. It's so bad feeling to be a Nami against a LeBlanc, as his bot laner Slivering Dingus follows him quickly. The culling for Ethereal picks up a double kill, a second double kill onto Destiny Vindictus. This might just be the game. It was looking like White Lotus was trying to rotate on to the Baron. But with another 3-kill going in pretty easily, Zayfrey is going to go in. He gets the Let's Bounce, but Ethereal picks up a legendary kill. Ethereal's going to push forward onto Sprinkle Me Steel. He does so much damage right now. All he has is Bork and Black Cleaver, and he shreds through the fairly squishy. Oh man, that feels bad, as the inhibitor, the Nexus does fall for White Lotus' first game. Unpack a few things for me. How could we have turned it around a little bit easier as NFG?
Yeah, so they had a scaling comp with, you know, a Yasuo, and like everybody on their team had a knockup for that Yasuo to use. So I think they should have just, like, you know, played a little bit safer in the bot lane. You know, after Ethereal picked up that early kill, they should have just, like, tried to not go in and just, like, sit back and farm. And as they, like, got their items and started doing actual damage, then they should have been fighting. Like, I understand that, like, a couple kills can't be helped, but
sure,
you know, you just have to kind of mind your positioning, not get hit by those Braum Qs, stay on the opposite side of minions, things like that, just to avoid giving White Lotus any unnecessary kills.
Well, I don't really like boiling things down to draft, but just as a quick stat for you before we go into the break, Ethereal Unlution was able to do 20,368 damage in a 23-minute, 26-second game. That is almost 1,000 damage a minute, compared to a minuscule 2008 from the side of Slivering Dingus. Could an ADC have been the difference? We are going to have to find out after this break. Stay with us. Don't change that browser. We'll see you guys in a few moments. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the White Lotus v NFG match of Week 5 of the GXPC Season 4. My name is Hickory. With me is my homie Quasars. Quasars, how do you feel about that first game that did go White Lotus' way?
I feel like White Lotus played it very well. They did that, like everything that they needed to do. Focus on the early picks. Get Aetherial and Daydreams ahead in lane and apply lane pressure in all of the lanes, not just like one or two. They had really good objective control. They got both the dragons and focused on towers. So.
Yeah, it was a very, very clean game from the side of White Lotus. Can we see a few differences from NFG, who, by the way, is putting Arrow back on to the ADC position? He's off the bench. Maybe this will be a little bit more strength from the bot side of the map of NFG.
Yeah, I feel like at this point, NFG should definitely, get a ranged AD carry, because it really hurt them having that Yasuo before. They do have Arrow here now, so, I feel like we'd actually see like a comfortable AD carry playing on the side of NFG now.
I believe that also allows them to have their bans as well in the second phase, although I'm not certain if using an E-sub gets rid of your ban for the entirety of the series or just that game. I'm going to have the production team check that guy out. But either way, Arrow will be here, so you are absolutely right. There's going to be hopefully a stronger ADC matchup in the bot lane. Hopefully not a Lucian Braum once again. It is such a strong composition. Not just in the hands of Aetherial Daydreams, it's just very, very domineering to go against. As the first few bans in this draft are going to be on the side of White Lotus. Is there anything you think White Lotus needs to get rid of in particular? Anything that gave struggle in that first few games? Games?
I do think that White Lotus would ban out maybe the Orianna, just because we saw some really good ults coming from Slippery Dingus. We have been informed, though, that NFG does get their Phase 2 bans back, just because they got their AD carry here and they're no longer using an E-sub.
So far, the bans have been just the same. That being said, I don't think it was Slippery Dingus playing Orianna. It was Destiny playing Orianna. But you were right, the shockwaves were actually massive. He was 2-0, or up to 2-0 rather, in the first few moments of the game. Fuji was looking like a surprising weak point on the side of White Lotus for the first few moments of the game. And it looked like Destiny was starting to get ready to kind of move his way into the mid lane and kind of take things over. But without Destiny being here, is Slippery Dingus as big of an Orianna player?
I believe I've seen Slippery Dingus on Orianna a couple times, and if I'm remembering right, they were really proficient on her. So
well, there is the ban. So we're not going to find out tonight if Slippery Dingus is going to hit those shockwaves. Darius was banned by the side of NFG. No fresh burger running, or no Darius for a fresh burger to kind of show him how it's done. A little disrespect possibly on the side of fresh burger, or maybe he's just going to run a tank again, as Akali is the final ban. Double assassins banned from NFG. First pick goes to fresh burger. This can be Varus for Aetherial. What do you want to see in response on that bot lane Varus coming out so far?
Probably a longer ranged AD carry. And judging how the first game went, one that's pretty good early game, early to mid game.
I was just about to say Ashe, actually. I really, really like Ashe and Varus. I'm not sure about the Ashe with Braum, but I very, very much like playing Ashe and Varus, and actually vice versa. I think it's a pretty comfy matchup on both sides. Braum Ashe does seem like the way that NFG is wanting to go. Should that just be a support picked up on the side of White Lotus, kind of hide the rest of your map, as we're only looking for bot lane? Sejuani is picked up from Kairos again. No Warwick for the homie, unfortunately, to the much sadness of the stream chat. But what do you think Fuji will get in this last rotation?
Derek. I was gonna say I would doubt that Fuji would pick up his mid laner there because we do realize that White Lotus likes to get that counter pick in mid lane. So yeah, I feel like Tarek's pretty decent with Varus. I mean, I do like the Ashe Braum combo though. It is a little bit slower for Ashe to get you know, her or the Braum passive off just because her attack speed tends to be a little bit slower earlier on, and she doesn't have like, you know, multiple burst attacks like Lucian would, or like you know, a higher base attack speed. But with her that one ability that does give her the attack boost, if she's able to proc that off the minions, then that will proc the Braum passive a little bit faster.
I think you're talking about Quivering Arrow.
Yep. Thank
All
you.
right. Yes, the Q ability for Ashe after 5 stacks, I believe, on auto attacks does get the fit speed. While it increases your attack speed, the individual arrows I don't think hit for Braum passive, so it'd just be the attack speed. But Trundle is picked up for Zayfrey, another tank in the jungle for actually both junglers picking up tanks all series long so far. Nothing, while the face changes a little bit from Zac to Trundle, not the biggest difference in the composition. What's up with that Lux ban?
I'm actually not sure. I haven't really seen Fuji on Lux before, personally, from the games that I've casted. I think that you know, like he's really good on Lissandra, so maybe they just think that he can play other summoners and wanted to ban that out.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I like Lux a lot, but there's probably better mid laners in the hands of better mid lane players, as the Ornn is picked up for Sprinkle Me Silly. He's going to show Freshburger what's up, as the Rise was actually the final ban on the side of White Lotus. This is a lot of mid laners banned on both teams. 3 or 4 on the side of NFG, 3 on the side of White Lotus, plus an ADC. And it looks like an Aurelia is picked up that potentially could be going in the mid lane for Fuji. We're going to see what Freshburger wants to pick up against this Ornn. We do not know what the mid laner for NFG is just yet. It is going to be the counter pick. Do you want to see Aurelia mid or top?
You know, I think that unless White Lotus feels really confident that they would want a tank top, but I guess they feel really confident.
Yeah, it's actually going to be the hands of Freshburger, as Zoe's picked up for Fuji. That is a impactful team composition, one might say, between Piercing, Arrow, Paddle, Star, and just the existence of Aurelia. We're going to see with the mid laner, Lissandra into a Zoe as opposed to an Assassin. How do you feel about that mid lane matchup? It could be quite explosive.
I feel like before level 6, Lissandra might have a little bit of a difficulty, but after 6, I think Lissandra should, you know, outdamage the Zoe, just because with the ultimate, you know.
So with one game up on the side of White Lotus, they're 1-0 right now. They have a very aggressive team composition. Can it be exploited by NFG, who might be doing a lane swap once again? But is this aggression on the side of White Lotus exploitable, or is it going to be a full throttle Need for Speed-esque game?
You know, I feel like White Lotus is just gonna try to end it as quickly as possible and get it over with. But I do feel like NFG scales a little bit better, and again, they're gonna have to try to, you know, not get caught out and wait until that mid to late game.
So once again, Slumbering Dingus is lane swapping. He was bot lane last game. He's top lane this game, as Spring Australia is likely going to be going mid lane on the Lissandra. Unless I'm just assuming this completely wrong and Slumbering Dingus is mid. Why is Slumbering Dingus avoiding Fuji so much this match?
I feel like before it was just you know, having Destiny Vindictus on their team. Like Destiny, I know plays mid and support, so it was just to make him a little bit more comfortable.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, sometimes when you get you know, tankier mid lanes, they can easily swap a top lane and do fine in landing phase. So maybe Sprinkle Misili just wanted to like go to mid this game, but I mean, Lissandra's also, I mean, she can get kind of tanky, not really, but
Well,
just
long time ago, Lissandra was a top laner. But
right.
that has been a minute. I mean, we did see Scion mid. Was it the beginning of this year or last year? Whenever I think it was the beginning of this year when Banner of Command was utterly broken. Or a Scion mid was pretty popular. Didn't really see much Orns. So I mean, it is still possible for Slippery Dingus to pull this into the mid lane. Although top lane would be most logical, especially with teleport coming out. Want to match Aurelia's teleport on the side of Fresh Burger. Once again, just kind of assuming that Ornn is into Aurelia, how do you feel about the matchup on either side?
Warren into Aurelia, I think that like I said before, like I'm not a top laner. I have no clue what goes on up there, but I think that Ornn would win that matchup. Unless Freshburger is able to outplay Slivering Dingus. Oh. I mean, Ornn's just like really beefy, so and he has that dash away.
Are you a fan of lore in games, particularly Legends?
I know that they got all the frosty.
Well, I was
I
just
can't say
about to
I can't say that word on stream. They have all the frosty people.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, it's a full Freljord composition. Didn't really notice that until just a few moments ago. Thank you, chat. I wonder if that was by design. We're going to have to see if the Frozen Wasteland beats out on the hodgepodge of White Lotus's lore in just a few moments after we go to a break. See you when the game starts.
My name is Tim Borseth, and I own and operate Games XP in Decorah, Iowa. Games XP is a geek paradise. We carry everything from Pong and Atari all the way to Xbox One and PS4, and all the games that would go with those consoles as well. We also carry a ton of movies. We have handheld games. We have Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon. We have D&D and Pathfinder. We carry Warhammer 40K. We have a vintage Star Wars selection. This place is great. My wife had 6 kids and they have so much fun to work with here at the store. They run the store as much as I do.
And we now repair cell phones, game consoles, computers, and small electronics.
Our store is instant fun. Not only is there cool music and cool stuff to look at, but we have a game room that is so much fun. Sweet play and plug in your game system and enjoy life. The gaming model is bringing joy to people's lives. Our practice people and place to play. You have got to come to Decorah, Iowa, check out Games and experience this geek gaming paradise.
So I'm at 11 seconds, 12 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to GXPC Week 5 between NFG and White Lotus. White Lotus was able to pick up a win in the previous game. They are 1-0, matching up against this frozen team of NFG, who does have the legendary level 1 Braum, but it looks like White Lotus is pretty ready for this level 1 Braum with a ward in the Tri-Bush. Probably going to be the end of this invade, unless they can get baited out a little bit here. Do you think White Lotus wants to screw with this, Quasars?
I don't think so. Daddy Braum is super spooky, and it looks like they knew.
Yeah, a lot of respect for the side of White Lotus. Tail of Arrows first, just to get them away for a Ethereal.
They might sit there and try to make something happen, maybe steal a red buff, but...
It does look like they're probably going to get the red buff for the side of Zayfrey. Scouted out by Ethereal actually might push them off. Interestingly, they are all bailing. But Kairos is on the top side. He's on the blue. He probably can solo that as well. as Zayfrey and crew are heading their way to the blue buff, actually it looks like Freshburger is up top there with him. So that's going to be a stolen red buff, although it looks like Sprinkle Silly might scout it out. No, he's going to walk right, very quietly, walk right past them. Just a few boats passing in the night, and Freshburger is going to pop by him just a few seconds later. That should potentially give away, at least it's a top side of the map start for K-Rose. Zayfrey might be able to infer that it is a stolen buff, as it looks like he is running to the other side of the map. He does know that it's going to be a stolen buff. Very smartly played by Zayfrey. I always like to see the few first moments of a jungler. Flash forward, that's a fake flash. That's a real flash. Wow, Fuji flashes forward instantly, level 1, flash away from Sprinkle Me Silly. Doesn't get the kill. He needs to switch Sprinkle Me Silly to the mid lane. By the way, what was up with that flash?
I think that Fuji thought he could flash ignite the Lysandra and just wasn't in range for that ignite by the time he had to back out from under tower. We did see that Sprinkle did flash as a result of that though, so.
Yeah, it's a trade of the flashes, a lot of damage done, but with a couple of potions popped, Sprinkle Silly is still pretty comfortably in lane, only a few CS behind. Of course, he is down the flash, pretty dangerous, but not really losing too much, as it looks like Kairos is getting he's getting his own, excuse me, that's the wrong side of the map. Just kind of topside lateral jungling from both junglers. They traded the Scuttles, traded the potentially Raptor camps as well. A dash forward Slivering Dingus onto Freshburger, but the duet does hit. It's going to push Slivering Dingus back a little bit, but Freshburger took a lot of damage there. He's already down 2 potions on the Corrupting Potion. Unfortunately, Drowsy onto Zayfrey, and I think that was a fake flash away from Fuji. Maybe he just walked away. The flash from Zayfrey wasn't enough. I was going to say, unfortunately, there's a redemption for Fuji. There seems to be this oddity where if you get 1 redemption, you get 100. As Zayfrey is getting engaged on here, he gets flashed onto by K-Rose. First blood for the jungler K-Rose. Very well done from the side of White Lotus. Maybe a little bit aggressive from Zayfrey, as looks like Ethereal just kind of wants to walk up to a big tanky Braum. A little bit of a trade back and forth, but both bot laners are feeling comfortable. What just happened with those junglers?
I feel like, Zayfrey just got there a little bit too late to help out the mid laner, and in result of them, one of them had
There's
to die.
the paddle star. It's a kill for Fuji. He wanted to do that early.
I think he just got a little bit too impatient earlier.
Yeah, I maybe he was getting a little scared about Sprinkle Silly having smite down, or excuse me, flash down. He wanted to kind of give him a little bit of pressure. Did backfire on him, but Fuji was able to get his solo kill after all. Stun on a JS for Penguin. He's still pretty tanky. Not much go back, but actually return stun. But it might be a bait as K-Rose is here, dashes forward, flash away from Arrow. Nicely timed flash from JS for Penguin as well, but a piercing arrow gets him for Ethereal. He's on the board. All 3 of the middle of the board of White Lotus, yeah, does have a kill, but a flash forward to Slivering Dingus. Here might be the kill. Slivering Dingus smacks down onto Freshburger. Is this finally the competition that Freshburger has been so hotly asking for in the Discord?
I mean, I think so. Like, I think he was expecting Sprinkle Me Silly again top lane, and we've seen the matchup before, and normally Freshburger doesn't have too much of a time in lane versus Sprinkle Me Silly, but I think the lane swap maybe might have him at a slight disadvantage, especially not going a tank like he's used to,
Yeah, I mean, he has been playing a lot of tanks. I'm sorry, I'm kind of surprised about the chutzpah of K-Rose at level 3 right now, trying to invade 2-1. But he's still here. He might even be able to smite away the big camp. No, it is smited away by Zayfrey. He gets level up onto K-Rose, but despite that start, he's actually been farming quite well. He has about a 7 CS lead at this point, despite the 1 kill onto him. Maybe he's going to be able to farm a little bit, as actually speaking of farm, Sprinkle Silly has started to drop quite a bit, even though it seemed okay for the first few levels. The Sleepy Trouble does hit. The Sleepy Bubble Trouble does hit, is what I meant to say, as the Ignite pops off for Fuji. He gets another kill.
Yeah, I think once Zoe gets 1 kill, it's really hard to stop the damages, and he has the damages now.
Yeah, so there has been a lot. I really like Zoe a lot. There's been a lot of especially just a few days ago. Your Paddle Star doesn't scale with levels as much as it used to, but it still does a ridiculous amount of damage, especially when you hit all of your abilities. Or actually, I might have been reading a upcoming one. Either way, Paddle Star does an incredible amount of damage when it breaks the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, as a stun does pop on a Jays for Penguin. A level advantage here for Ethereal and Daydream. So they're just kind of traded right now. It's a 2-level advantage actually for Sprinkle Me Silly, who now has the ult, which increases damage even further. I'm sorry, I like Zoe a lot. She's very fun. She's very fun to watch in particular. For the things that she can do, as Sprinkle Me Silly should be gifted a blue buff here pretty soon, but actually Kairos might be wanting to make sure that doesn't happen. 1 level down is Fresh Burger, but he has gotten his Tiamat at the very least. He can farm out pretty nicely. Route on to Fuji does force a fake cleanse, I believe. So we're just trying to get a little bit back here. Flawless Duet, nicely timed. Was that a Paddle Star that I saw in the mid lane? No, it was not. It's okay. We're fine. We're fine. We're fine. I'll let you clear things out for Arrow. What is the win condition for NFG, who is slightly behind in kills right now?
Win conditions would be don't give overkill, scale, and don't feed the Zoe.
Oh yeah, I was just about to say, if that comment kills him, ridiculously timed. Interesting to pick the comment. How do you feel about comment besides electrocute on this not to be fed Zoe?
I mean, I feel like comment's a little bit more reliable, but that's just like a personal opinion. Like I like comment a little bit more on spellcasters.
That's a flash forward from Daydream to hit the stun, plus the Chains of Corruption. Now we're hitting with the Cosmic Radiance, but actually a lot of damage is being traded back from the side of Arrow and Jays for Penguin. That might have been a little bit of a mistake. Flash, Fuji has a kill. What was with that engagement bot lane? Ethereal was dominating last game, and now he's kind of making some questionable trades.
Well, he is up against an Ashe, this game, and with her Q, she does give a bit more, you know, damage in trades. Mm-hmm. And then you also have the Braum stun, and as long as they target Ethereal, and CC lock him, then it's going to be a little bit easier for them to kill him this game. The Taric, yes, he has a stun, but I feel like Braum is just a little bit more reliable as a support than Taric is.
Is there a different support to pull in with Varus against this Braum?
I actually like Thresh and Varus together. I'm not sure how it would be though with an Ashe Braum in particular.
Thresh was banned last game. I believe he was up this game. The reason I asked is I don't see a lot of Taric these days. I see tons of Braums, tons of Ashes, Varus solutions, but I haven't seen a lot of Taric, so I am kind of interested. With the nerfs to Tahm Kench, could Taric possibly rise in priority?
I feel like he's a little bit better late game, but I still don't think he's as strong as Braum.
I mean, as the counter to Braum, as opposed to like Tahm Kench, who might be a little bit weak now. Sorry,
I like half heard your question. Against a Braum, I would have rather seen a summoner than Taric. I would have liked to see like maybe a Karma, a Nami, something along those lines. Because as long as you land your Nami bubbles against a Braum, you actually do pretty okay against him in lane, and it's easier for you to trade.
How would have Morgana sounded potentially?
I think a Morgana would have been fine as well.
Okay.
Especially against with the spell shield against the Braum passive.
Yeah, I mean, just like I said, I don't see a lot of Taric, so I'm just what we could be seeing, because it seems like a very, very standard bot lane from the side of NFG. So I'm just kind of interested about the other side of Piercing Arrow does hit, but we're not really seeing Ethereal run as rampant as he did last game. It's actually quite a bit slower game a couple kills up for the side of White Lotus, a decent amount of gold ahead, but the pace of the game has not been as insanely ratcheted as it was last game. And a lot of this gold, a lot of this lead is sitting on the Zoe right now. In fact, 2,000 almost gold, 1,900 gold lead for the side of Fuji over Sprinkle Me Silly. A couple shutdowns could turn that around. It's not very well spread, but they are able to pick up the Ocean Drake mid lane. What do they need to do to start ramping up the speed, actually, as Chains of Corruption, excuse me, does hit a nice Glacial Fissure to try and disengage, flashes away from the side of NFG, as well as a Crystalline Arrow to try to get them out. I think they actually do get out nice and comfortably. What I was saying...
coming in, though.
Oh, that's a kill for Aetherial. Here comes Zoe as well on the bot lane. Fuji trying to pick up a kill, hits a Drowsy Bubble, and does actually get a second kill for Aetherial. That's the double kill. Does he get the triple? He does not, as Zoe picks up a kill for the side of Fuji. Flawless Duet hits for Fresh Burger, who is able to pick up the solo kill on Simmering Dingus because, unfortunately, Ornhorn did miss. I literally was asking for them to ramp it up, and seconds later, they did. 3 kills bot lane, 1 kill top lane, lots of tower damage, an Ocean Drake to boot, and potentially a blue buff for the fancy little Zoe. Well, now what?
I feel like, well, let's see. White Lotus was able to pick up the dragon, so they're already starting.
That's a fake flash, but a nice Trundle Pillar does hit it. Unfortunately, Zoe goes back in place when she dashes away. A shutdown for the side of Arrow, the carry of NFG. They're trying to push forward. That tower is down, however. Flash forward for Zayfray. Not much to follow it up. Volley does slow them down. Arrow's really trying to pull it back here, but unfortunately Zayfray's gone a little bit too far. The Permafrost does stun him up. Another kill for Aetherial, but here comes Sprinkle Me Silly out of nowhere. Gets the ult on top of 2 of them. Another kill for Arrow. Potentially a 3rd kill for Arrow. No, unfortunately it goes to the side of James Penguin. Simmering Dingus does pick up another kill as a double kill goes for Aetherial. 4 for 2 on the side of NFG. That's not a bad trade. A little bit aggressive from the side of Fuji.
Yeah, I feel like that was really good for NFG. Just judging by how they did last game. But as I was saying, White Lotus, they're going for the objectives that they need to be going for. So I feel like if NFG is just able to kind of stop them from getting those towers and those dragons, and be a little bit more present in their lanes, then I feel like they could come and go really
potentially
even
test
with
someone like Fresh Burger, who misses a Flawless Duet onto both the duo. He does drop his ultimate, but that's a pretty easy kill for Arrow. That's a bit of a contest there, don't you think?
Yeah.
That's probably what NFG is looking as the Chains of Corruptions do land on to Slippery Dingus. He's pretty tanky with the Frozen Mount on his finish, but that's 2 people on him right now. The Ornhorn does hit on to Aetherial, but it might just be a kill-piercing arrow. Does not pop him. The flash away, but the flash forward from Daydreams is going to solidify the kill. Valiant effort from the side of Slithering Dingus as Zayfray does get picked on a little bit in the mid lane. Drowsy is GXPC, and he's caught sleeping. Unfortunately, actually, Kyrros does pop it a little bit too early. He does throw out the bola. Not really a lot of follow-up, however. It looked good as Fresh Burger got caught out, but unfortunately, on the other side of the map, Slithering Dingus got caught out just as easily. Top laners maybe giving up a little more pressure than they should be. GXPC, ooh, he does get away. What can NFG do to slow things down?
Maybe start participating in fights that they don't need to be in, and again, just apply that lane pressure, because we've seen NFG once they feel like they're getting behind in lane, they stop pushing so far up, and they just kind of give things away for free when they don't need to.
Maybe a little bit more lane pressure is what you're saying, correct?
Yeah.
Well, that's why I like Zoe. That's why I like playing Zoe, at least. Being the opposite side for Sprinkle Me Silly isn't as fun, though. However, the Rift Herald is picked up for the side of White Lotus. I think I've been asking you a lot for what NFG can do to slow things down. On the other hand, as a flawless duet does hit, what can White Lotus with Fresh Burger do to speed things up and try to start going towards a win here?
You know, as we're seeing right now, Fresh Burger is able to kind of trade very well with Slivering Dingus. Like, he's just like out damaging him at this point, and you know, all of the armor that you know he's built so far is just not doing too much. So oh, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say that's that's with the armor, but no Trinity Force. But as the damage from Fresh Burger does increase and increase, and the arrow does go wide. What do you think the fans are thinking about who might win this game? Who do you think they're behind?
I feel like most of them are going for White Lotus. Like,
interesting that you say that, because 97% of the votes are for White Lotus. Over 9 out of 10 people are voting for White Lotus to take this series. A massive support coming out from the fans watching this White Lotus, as Permafrost does pop onto Zayfray, and he's stuck by his own pillar, unfortunately. He might get out with the help of the Call of the Forge God. Sleepy Trouble Bubble does hit onto Slivering Dingus, but that might be it as they back off for the Infernal Drake. 3% of the vote is for NFG. Are you part of that 3%, Quasars? Can they do it?
I mean, I don't think.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Why do you not think that?
Like, just because, you know, White Lotus is very good at applying pressure in lanes and getting those objectives, and on the other half, NFG, their lane pressure is lacking in almost every game that I've seen them in, and it's just like, you can't not have lane pressure and then go against a team that is good at pressuring lanes and expect to win.
Well, with that lane pressure, with that early game advantage, they were able to take out the mid lane tier 2. Amazingly, Freshburger was able to get out of that very long engage, but there is an arrow onto Karos. He's pretty tanky to be taking up that arrow, that being said. And there is only one tier 2 remaining. It's 1846 in the game. There's not been a lot of gameplay so far, yet we do have another 9K lead for the side of White Lotus. A massive lead once again, even though NFG was able to bring in their stronger ADC and a much more solid bot lane lineup. Can we 20-minute Baron as White Lotus, or do we need to kind of slow things down a little bit, get control of these lanes a little bit, and then start moving our way towards the mid and late game?
I feel like, you know, Varus has built enough attack speed for them to do Baron. It's just they need to probably get a kill onto the Trundle and the Lysandra in order to secure it. Just because we know Lysandra can, you know, dash in and freeze the jungler, essentially, while Trundle goes and smites it last second. So
yeah, you probably don't want to be in a frozen tomb when you're trying to smite a Baron. But there's a lot of damage that can come out of the side of Ethereal with both the Rage Blade and Fort completed. It doesn't look like they are trying to go for it just yet. I'm just trying to kind of, you know, think about some possibilities that they can do. The Corrupting Arrow does hit on to Jason. Wow, Spring of Mycelia just absolutely obliterates under the pressure that is Ethereal. Cosmic Radiance trying to keep them up and topped up. Zayfray trying to go in with a little bit of pressure, but the Ornhorn is going to hopefully get him out at the very least. Another engagement from the Fissure to hopefully get Karos, but unfortunately the Sleepy Trouble. Man, what is going on? I am so slow on these calls. I'm very sorry. Double kill goes for Ethereal. Double kill goes for Freshburger. I am not feeling peppy right now. I'm sorry, guys. The bot lane tower does go. I should need to step it on a little bit more as the inhibitor goes bot lane with a incredibly strong Freshburger, who is not having the best early game here. Is 4-2, 5-1 is Fuji, 8-1 is Ethereal. 21 minutes into the game, the first inhibitor goes down bot lane. The mid lane tier 3 goes down as well. Unfortunately, it looks like the mid lane inhibitor goes down as well, but with timers coming up for NFG, this is not the end just yet.
Yeah, we do see some pings on the mini map going around Baron Pit, so I'm sure they want to get some vision around there and go for that as their next objective.
Fuji does get tombed by Sprinkle Me Silly, and he's going to go down pretty for Zayfrey. Is that going to stop them from going to the Baron?
Well, we do see that Ethereal is backing, and so is Tarek. So I think that they're going to try to reset and, wait for NFG to kind of back off and try to clear out what is pushing into their base before they try to make any moves on that Baron.
They have 2 inhibitors down. It's not as bad as having 3 inhibitors down, but not as good as saying having 1 inhibitor down. But the vision control is actually on the side of NFG around this Baron. White Lotus's vision control has not been as stellar as we've seen in previous series. Interestingly enough, even though their pressure has been as strong or even stronger than it has been in previous series. They're starting to get a little bit of vision back now, get a little bit more control over the Baron Pit, but they're not just ready to go for it potentially yet. Kairo's just kind of looking around. You do not want to go down, buddy, jungler. But could they just push it down mid, or do they really need this Baron?
I feel like if they get into team fight in this mid lane here and, get a slight advantage on NFG, then they could easily push to end. But if they don't feel like they could potentially win a team fight, then it would be a lot safer for them to get that Baron buff and go for that end of the game.
Actually, it looks like Fuji might be engaged here. Nope, just going to walk it out. The Baron is started by Kairos and Ethereal. As mentioned, Ethereal has a lot of damage. Probably going to be pretty easily picked up. Whoa, that was a very close Ash arrow there at the last second, but it does go to the side of Fresh Burger. Would have been kind of fun to see it go. Zayfrey might be caught buying here, but it's actually Drowsy onto Jace for Penguin. He hits a huge fissure. Here comes the Oran Horn onto 3 of them, but unfortunately the ADC arrow was kind of out of position there. It Baroned up Team White Lotus is going forward. That's not their name. They're going to pop onto Zayfrey, who does flash away. Not dead just yet. Flash forward from Daydreams to get a double kill. The Vanguard gets a second kill. Freshburger is on a rampage right now. Ethereal is dominating right now. The shutdown for delivering Dingus is not enough. Unfortunately, Ethereal does go down to the towers, but that is going to be game 2-0 for the side of White Lotus. Under 50 minutes game time for this dominating team. Wow, I say. What went so right for White Lotus in this whole series?
I feel like they were very good about getting the objectives that they needed to get and applying that early lane pressure to try to get those early towers on, and from there it's just like easy pushing. They are able to position a little bit better than NFG was, and they were able to come out on top on most of the team fights that they got into, especially in mid to late game. And I feel like NFG just had a tough time coming back from those picks that White Lotus got early on in both games.
I mean, the early games for both actually teams were quite good, but White Lotus just had an incredible strong early game both sides. Freshburger, on the other hand, didn't really smash as hard as we're kind of used to the nice crispy burger to be this game, although he did kind of start to bring it back in the later few minutes of the game. Is that just a matchup between Ornn and Aurelia, or are we seeing potentially Slivering Dingus give him a run for his money and hopefully see someone like Slivering Dingus himself or other people start to really lock down this incredibly strong top laner?
I feel like that on Aurelia specifically, she just needs items. And early on, Ornn, he gets one item and he's like really tanky, and it's tough to deal with that when you don't have any damage. So after Freshburger was able to get a couple picks off here and there, and was able to get the Trinity Force and the Sterix, and he was able to output the damage that he needed to fight Slivering Dingus. And then once you can kill the tanks, you can kill pretty much everyone easy peasy. And he was just able to do that in the late game when they were going to end. It just it took him 20 minutes.
That's not a very long time in truth. Speaking of Fresh Burger, speaking of White Lotus themselves, is there someone you would like to talk to about that win?
Yeah, I actually want to talk to my man Fresh Burger.
Let's talk to her man Fresh Burger. Perhaps. Maybe. Did I just give you the run for the money? Let's see if we can hear. How's it going, Fresh Burger? Congratulations on the 2-0. How you feel, dude?
I'm feeling pretty good. I was a little bit disappointed in myself for giving up my second solo kill of the season, I think, but it's all right.
Well, 2 is not a very bad number for 10 games, 9 games.
Well, nine matches, a couple forfeits.
Yeah. Well, you're doing quite a bit better than Hooney is on the solo kills. So that's definitely a plus. Quizzers, you got a couple thoughts for the Fresh Burger?
Yeah, I mean, good job, my dude.
Thank you.
I wanted to pull you up into the interview because before the game, I know Hickory was talking about ASMR, and you have the voice of angels. So.
Oh, is that what
I thought it would be
no actual questions about the game?
Well, no,
That's
I have
unfortunate.
questions about the game too. It's just like that crossed my mind before.
Okay,
Who do I want to pull up for an interview?
Wait,
But,
what?
What you got for me?
Yeah, I just in that second game, like, you didn't do too hot early game. Was it just like a matter of not having the items that you needed, or was it more of a matchup, or what are you feeling
Combination
about
of the two, really. In my experience, playing Ornn into Irelia is pretty easy, at least until level 6. And I got overconfident when I saw him get low on mana, went for a trade that I couldn't actually take, and, got myself killed like a moron. But of course, as soon as I had the items I needed, I think it was just like a Tiamat and a Sheen, something like that. I had the damage to solo kill him. It's just
Yeah.
Irelia with nothing but a corrupting potion isn't very high on the DPS.
Yeah, we were talking about how we thought that you just needed items, and in that last fight, we really saw you pop off in the enemy base under that mid lane tower. So.
Yeah, mid game is definitely Irelia's strongest point for team fighting, as they don't have the damage to burst you down just yet, and I had my Trinity Force spike. So
Right.
the Lysandra, the Ashe, they're like butter, and I'm a hot knife. Makes fighting them a lot of fun.
Is it the thighs that make you such a hot knife? Sorry, no, that's dumb. So first game,
I mean, you're not wrong though.
Fuji got behind a couple of kills while you were doing pretty strong in the top lane. What was going through your head when Fuji? I think he got killed twice, and maybe like the first 2 minutes. Was everything okay, or did he need a little bit of assistance to kind of get back into it?
I mean, we knew that he would be fine as soon as he got to mid game. So all we really had to do was keep pressure up in the other lanes and have Davey help out where he could. Because as you could see by the end of the game, he was just one-shotting whoever got close to him. It's all a matter of keeping faith.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Got a last question for us, Quasars.
Yeah, I saw like earlier on in your first game when you were up against Darius. Like, is that an easy matchup for Ornn, or do you think
No,
you
it's
outplayed
definitely
it?
not. It's definitely not an easy matchup. Although it is extremely snowbally either way, because Ornn has high base damage, and as long as you have the armor to not let Darius kill you as soon as he has 5 stacks on you, then he really can't do anything, because you win short trades, and if you have enough armor, you win the long trades too, and all he can do is sit in a tower.
Awesome. Quasars, I
So-
hope you enjoyed your first date with Fresh Burger. Fresh Burger, can you give us a couple thoughts about just a couple last statements to give us? Anything you want to shout out? Anyone you want to tell the stream?
As far as shoutouts go, I want to shout out my boy Kairos in the jungle. He's been holding it down there, even though he hasn't gotten as much recognition as the rest of the team. He's really a vital part of our success.
Awesome. Good shout out. Always good to shout out the supporting cast, even though you're hitting on the Aurelia. Thank you very much, Fresh Burger. Congratulations. I believe you're 9-0.
That
We're
is
killing it, dude. See you later. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Quizzers. See you, dude. Thank you. Quizzers, do you have any closing thoughts for us? I know you're coming off of that first blind day. It's pretty fun, but bring it back. How you feeling?
I mean, I feel like NFG really needs to work on applying that lane pressure. Like, I know I say it every game that I cast for NFG. It's just like I'm not really seeing it, and that's something that they really need to work on as a team. So I would recommend that they get together and play a few flex games and just like push the heck out of the lanes, get vision control in their river, and just like watch out for those ganks coming up. And I feel like they should improve a lot in their games.
Yeah, they're still sitting pretty decently in the standings. Let's see. They should be 5-4 right now, which is still top of the board. Nothing to sneeze about. They just maybe need to fix a few things here and there. Not too bad. Hope to see him again here in the near future. But for everyone watching at home, thank you very much for tuning in to the GXPC Season 4 Week 5 match between NFG and White Lotus. A solid 2-0 from the side of White Lotus. My name is Hickory. With me has been Quasar on this quest, this journey, this exploration into the mind, the body, the soul, the potentially budding relationship between Quasars and Fresh Burger. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Have a good evening.
Good night, guys.